Let's look a little more closely at the areas of conduct and expectations for staff-student interactions. The Code of Conduct requires all staff members avoid boundary violations in their interactions with students. A boundary violation is any behavior which crosses the line verbally, physically, emotionally, or socially that a staff member must maintain between themselves and a student in order to ensure structure, security, and predictability in the educational environment. It is an act or omission not having a legitimate educational purpose and may potentially abuse the staff-student relationship. The Code of Conduct identifies specific behaviors which, absent extenuating circumstances, are boundary violations and should be avoided by school staff. The list is not all-inclusive. With a variety of personalities and activities in a school each day, it would be impossible to list every situation which may arise. Identifying specific acts and behaviors is intended to help establish a criteria or baseline in assisting in appropriate drawing lines for all staff-student interactions. In individual or unique circumstances, the location of the boundary line may vary: elementary versus secondary student, the type of class or activity, a student's unique disability, or even familiar relationships between a staff member and a student may impact whether specific conduct is acceptable. One example of the way specific circumstances may impact the propriety of an action might be an occupational therapist serving a preschool child with disabilities. The service provider holds the child around the waist to steady him while working to improve balance. This would be acceptable physical contact. However, a high school English teacher would have no educational purpose in touching a student in the same way. If you have specific questions, it's always best to discuss them with your supervisor or administrator. One area requiring careful consideration to avoid boundary violations is meeting with a student in isolation. Behaviors which may be considered boundary violations include isolated one-on-one interactions with students out of the line of sight of others, meeting with students in rooms with covered or blocked windows, sitting or riding alone in a vehicle with a student, intentionally being alone with a student on campus or away from school. Consciously consider location. If it is necessary to meet with an individual student, meet in a visible location, keep the door open, or request a coworker join you, perhaps even electronically if no other option exists. Another option here at Lincoln Academy is to sit underneath where any cameras are. We have several cameras throughout the building and a lobby that has couches where you could meet with students, which is being recorded. This will protect you from the risk of false allegation or assumptions, as well as protecting the student. Giving a student undue or preferential treatment is conduct which can raise concerns and cross the lines. We work in education because we care about education and the students. A caring, positive adult role model can have a positive lasting impact on a student. Motivating students by encouraging them, rewarding them, and getting them involved shows we care. However, giving preferential treatment to a specific student or group of students, providing gifts or special favors to individual students that are not offered or available to all students, or giving gifts with no educational purpose violates appropriate staff-student boundaries. Taking a student to lunch to talk about things, inviting a student to your home, or regularly writing notes to a particular student crosses the boundaries of appropriate staff-student relationships. In some instances, it may be the student who is seeking the targeted attention. He or she may be looking to a staff member to be a confidant, friend, or surrogate parent. Although it may be evident that the student is facing personal challenges and may need assistance, when a student seeks attention that is beyond the parameters of the staff-student relationship, it is the staff member's duty to establish clear boundaries. Be kind but firm. For example, a student begins to hang out regularly after class and share difficulties of divorcing parents. Things are so bad at home, the student asks, "Could I just come home with you? Couldn't I just text you tonight if things get really bad?" An appropriate response may be, "I'm concerned about you, and I'll do what I can to support you here at school, but I can't be your parent or friend. My place is to be your teacher, your advisor, or your coach." It may be appropriate to refer students to an administrator or guidance counselor for additional support. Referral to youth support programs such as the Safe Utah app may be appropriate. The Safe Utah Crisis Chat and Tip Line is a statewide service that provides real-time crisis intervention to youth through live chat right from their smartphone. This service is staffed by licensed clinicians 24/7, providing support supportive or crisis counseling, suicide prevention, and referral services. If a staff member believes that a student's well-being is at risk, state law requires a school employee notify the student's parents without any delay. If you are unsure of how to do this, enlist the assistance of a school administrator. Here at Lincoln, we are more than happy to provide you an area to call law enforcement or DCFS if you feel that a student is being abused or neglected. In some cases, a staff member may be seeking attention from the student, fostering the relationship to fulfill the staff member's own needs. A staff member struggling with personal problems may find the attention and admiration bestowed by a student provides needed emotional comfort. Sometimes being the favorite teacher or coach that every student comes to bring with it a sense of empowerment. The staff member may not even realize the personal motivation behind their own actions. When interacting with students, staff members must maintain the integrity of the educational setting and honor the trust of parents, students, and the profession. Avoiding preferential treatment helps maintain appropriate staff-student relationships.